You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 30th day of October, 2024. No, I'm not going to say boo. Saving that for tomorrow. But I will say thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. I replaced the streaming software, and it didn't work. So, I'm back to square one, still dropping frames on the YouTube stream. If you're tuned in via YouTube, do yourself a favor. Just go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and it will log you right into our platform. On top of that, every trading day going forward, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In that email, there's a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email. It will automatically log you into our platform, and you will not suffer dropped frames. So, my apology. I really have been working hard on this, and it just worked so well for so many years. I'm at a loss. Anyway, but I believe in international trade, but when you are dealing with something, a sensitive matter like this, an important matter, maybe pick a company in the U.S. Now, I'm not knocking these guys. They've been real good to me for a lot of years, but our schedules are different. When I'm asleep, they're working, when they're, vice versa. So find a company in the U.S., or at least somebody that has customer support in the U.S., so that you can have a real person-to-person dialogue instead of chasing all these support tickets and whatnot. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave it at that. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. Now, the first live broadcast is not streamed on YouTube. In fact, it's a private broadcast. It is for our members only and those taking their 1-week free trial. To take your 1-week free trial, go to mytradingiq.com and click that purple button at the top of the page. Fill out the registration form, hit submit. We'll get you indicators indicating today. Your trial will actually start tomorrow. But don't worry, you'll still get 5 consecutive trading days, even when it stretches over a weekend. So, in most cases, that turns the 5-day trial into a 7-day trial. And you might say, well, what good are the indicators to me over the weekend? Well, there are a few markets that never sleep. So, you can still use the indicators over the weekend on those markets. Okay? All right then. Now, I almost hate to even say this part, but I'm gonna, because I do it every day. There will be days you're out of the office away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, can't join live, but want to get caught up later. That's why we have a YouTube channel. And it's easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN. And I don't think this problem we're having has anything to do with YouTube at all. It's in my computer, it's in my software, there's something in the machine somewhere, but I don't think it's their fault. Anyway, not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,600 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And thanks to the power of YouTube, you can see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. You're not going to watch them all, but watch some of them so that you can see how we've gone from our most humble beginnings to where we are now. And we're still humble, but things have gotten a whole lot better. So check it out. Okay, our schedule every day now this afternoon broadcast is open to the public. Everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet connected device. To get into the live training room in the morning, that 2-hour broadcast, okay, you got to be a member or you got to be on the trial. Okay, so we start this afternoon broadcast with our daily devotional, a word of prayer, some news, recap of the alerts, both logic and concierge. And then about 50 minutes into the broadcast, Michael joins us, gives us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. Things went great. And then we do some live trading on the TradingView platform for 30 minutes. And then I wrap things up with our good word for the day. Now, the topic of the devotion that we've been in for the last 9 days, and this is the final day. And I have enjoyed this devotion. I really have. I've looked forward to it each day. But today's day 9 of 9, so going deeper, meeting the Messiah in John 1 through 4. That's the title. The scripture today is John 4, verses 43 through 54. And I'm going to share it with you from the Message translation. After the 2 days, now remember we were at the well with the Samaritan woman, the living water. Just want to get this in context for you. And the people of that town or village liked Jesus so much and believed what he said, they asked him to hang out for a few days. And he did. So now we pick up in verse 43. After the 2 days, he left for Galilee. Now Jesus knew well from experience that a prophet is not respected in the place where he grew up. So when he arrived in Galilee, the Galileans welcomed him, but only because they were impressed with what he had done in Jerusalem during the Passover feast. Not that they really had a clue about who he was or what he was up to. Now he was back in Cana of Galilee, the place where he made the water into wine, which we talked about, I think probably on day 1 or day 2 of this devotion. You can always go on YouTube and enjoy the whole thing. Meanwhile, in Capernaum, there was a certain official from the king's court whose son was sick. When he heard that Jesus had come from Judea to Galilee, he went and asked that he come down and heal his son, who was on the brink of death. Jesus put him off. Unless you people are dazzled by a miracle, you refuse to believe. But the court official wouldn't be put off. Come down. It's life or death for my son. Jesus simply replied, go home. Your son lives. The man believed the bare word Jesus spoke and headed home. On his way back, his servants intercepted him and announced, your son lives. He asked them what time he began to get better. They said the fever broke yesterday afternoon at 1 o'clock. The father knew that was the very moment Jesus had said, "Your son lives." That settled it. Not only he, but his entire household believed. This was now the second sign Jesus gave after having come from Judea into Galilee. I don't have time, but this official, now Jesus had been a long way, but a certain official from the king's court whose son was sick, when he heard that Jesus had come from Judea to Galilee. Now, they didn't have blog posts, they didn't have podcasts, they didn't have newspapers or radio stations or any of that. So I just want you to picture how powerful it is that here's Jesus way over here doing stuff, and people way over here are finding out about it. They didn't even have Pony Express. So, anyway, back to the devotion. We've seen a lot of what it means for us, for Jesus, to be the Messiah in this section of John. But John has one more thing to teach us, and it's the most important thing we could hear. As we come to the end of this section of John's Gospel, Jesus returns to Galilee, his home region. He's welcomed by the people who saw what happened at the Passover, and we're told Jesus heads back to Cana, where he turned water into wine. John wants us to connect what we see here with the wedding. But at first glance, there couldn't be a more different occasion to the joy of a wedding. In walks a man in a desperate situation. His son's about to die. He's traveled more than 20 miles to see Jesus. Now, that's like a day's journey, I guess. I don't know if you got a fast donkey, maybe a little less. The man is important, connected to royalty, but he is not too proud to beg Jesus to heal his son. Jesus' response is probably not what we expect. He challenges the man and the crowd listening in, the "you" is plural here, about the kind of belief they have in him. It seems that enjoying watching Jesus' miracles is not the same as true faith. Yet the royal official insists Jesus can heal his son. What can Jesus do? In 5 short words, he heals the dying boy. What power! And notice the reaction of this father. He takes Jesus at his word. He trusts what Jesus says completely. While he is still on the way home, his household servants rush to meet him with the wonderful news that his son is well again. When he hears that it happened exactly when Jesus spoke his words, both he and his whole household believed in Jesus. Like the Samaritans, true belief happens as people take Jesus at his word and put their trust in him. But what about the connection to the wedding at Cana? Why does John deliberately draw our attention to it? On day 3 of this devotion, we thought about how the sign of the water turning into wine fulfilled the Old Testament promises of the Messiah, the Lord himself coming to bring a banquet for his people. The same passage prophesied he will destroy the shroud that enfolds all peoples, the sheet that covers all nations. He will swallow up death forever. That's in Isaiah 25:7. This is what Jesus does for the royal official's son. Death is simply swallowed up as he speaks. Jesus is the Messiah. the Lord himself. As we come to the end of this section in John, and I encourage you now, we've covered for chapters 1 through 4, but I encourage you to keep reading the whole Gospel of John. But as we come to the end of this section, the right response is also there in Isaiah. Chapter 25, 8 through 9 tells us that in that day they will say, "Surely this is our God. We trusted in him and he saved us. This is the Lord. We trusted in him. Let us rejoice and be glad in his salvation." Let's pray. Heavenly Father, just as Jesus brought healing to the official son, we trust in your power to heal and restore. Strengthen our faith to believe in your promises, even when we cannot see the outcome. Help us to seek your presence daily and to share your love and hope with everyone around us. We continue to lift up all of those affected by these recent hurricanes. We pray that you comfort the grieving, provide for the needy, strengthen all who are rebuilding. And we continue to pray for an end to this conflict in the Middle East. Protect the innocent, bring healing to those impacted by violence, and guide the leaders there towards justice and reconciliation. And last, Lord, as the presidential election looms, we ask for your guidance and protection over the process. Grant wisdom to voters, integrity to officials, and honesty in every decision made. May the election be fair and just, reflecting your will and uniting the nation in peace and purpose. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen and happy Wednesday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Now, we talked yesterday about President Trump's company, DJT, Trump Media. It's been on a tear. Now, this is going to blow your mind, and I hope it doesn't make Elon mad, okay? DJT now has a larger market cap than X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Mind-blowing, right? All right, here's the numbers. Starting in the U.S. with the Dow, we're up 155 points. The NASDAQ is up 25. S&P 500 is up 10. The Russell 2000 is up 13. No movers, no shakers, but they're all green, and that's how we like it. All green or all red doesn't matter, because as futures traders, we can be long, short, long again, all in the same hour. That's what the chart tells us. We just like to see them all the same color, because then there's better follow-through on the trades. Crude oil up $1.78, trading 68.97 last. That's a gain of over 2.5%, or $1,760 per contract traded. Gold's up $15.30, trading 27.9640 last. Silver taking a break today, down 43 cents, trading 34.01 last. That's a drop of 1.25%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 373 points. That's almost 1%. Shanghai fell 20. The Hang Seng dropped 320, which is over 1.5%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 52, the DAX down 189, almost 1%. The CAC down 76, just over 1%. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. So far, it's a green Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. Let's get to the news. Oh, are you kidding me? Hang on. It's Wednesday, not Monday. This is supposed to happen on Mondays. Hang on. Alright. Load news page, please. Oop, there it is. Okay. Hezbollah has appointed cleric Naim Qasim as its new leader following the death of Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed in an Israeli airstrike near the Lebanese capital, Beirut, last month. He's 71 years old and is considered one of Hezbollah's founding members and served as the group's deputy for 33 years. A Belgian court sentenced more than 120 people convicted of drug-related crimes yesterday in the largest drug trial in the country's history. Sentence lengths ranged from 1 to 17 years for dozens of defendants hailing from Albania, North Africa, Belgium, and Colombia. The case, which began in December, relied on evidence collected after police successfully infiltrated and surveilled the Sky ECC and Encro encrypted phone networks in 2020 and 2021. Such networks consisted of tens of thousands of individuals using modified phones designed for total anonymity, including disabling cameras, microphones, and GPS, and using a concealed operating system. The multinational and novel nature of the infiltration, which collected huge swaths of data from entire networks, has prompted complex legal questions and has led to more than 6,500 arrests. The ruling comes as Europe continues to grapple with sprawling criminal drug networks. Belgium's major port of Antwerp seizes more than 100 tons of cocaine annually. I think you'll find this fascinating. Archaeologists have discovered a Maya city beneath the jungle canopy in Campeche, Mexico, according to a study released yesterday. The ancient site, dubbed Valeriana by the team, contains more than 6,600 structures, including pyramids and ball courts. Yeah, you know, like tennis, basketball, yeah. It is believed to be one of the largest Maya sites in Latin America. The city, which may have housed up to 50,000 people during the classic Maya period, years 250 to 900, we're talking before Christ, if I got it right, features two major centers about 1.2 miles apart, linked by causeways. Researchers suggest Valeriana was likely an important political or economic center in the region due to its layout and construction. Archaeologists discovered the city by analyzing pre-existing LiDAR data, a technique in which variations in surface height are measured using airborne laser mapping. The site was found when a researcher stumbled upon the data originally gathered for ecological and forestry studies online. Now, you've seen these driverless taxis, right? I've talked about it because I ran into a few the other night. I didn't run into them, but anyway. On the Waymo driverless taxis, that little thing spinning up on top, that's LiDAR radar, spelled LIDAR. True story. All right, let's look at some market news. Super microcomputer stock tanks after accounting in Denmark, as they say. No offense to our listeners in Denmark. Super microcomputer stock, SMCI, cratered this morning, falling over 30%. It's now down almost 32%. After a filing revealed accounting firm Ernst & Young has resigned from its relationship with the tech company. In the resignation letter, Ernst & Young said, "We are resigning due to information that has recently come to our attention, which has led us to no longer be able to rely on management's and the audit committee's representations, and to be unwilling to be associated with the financial statements prepared by management, and after concluding, we can no longer provide the audit services in accordance with the applicable law or professional obligations." That might be a good short. SMCI. Not giving you personal financial advice, but just saying. It's already down 32% and falling. So, you know what they say about trying to catch a falling knife. Don't do it. But activity jumped 7.4% in September as buyers took advantage of lower mortgage rates and higher inventory. The pending home sales index, which tracks contract signings on existing homes, rose to 75.8 from a month earlier and registered the highest reading since March, according to the National Association of Realtors. A reading of 100 is equal to the level of contract activity in 2001, and it's at 75.8. Now, according to Yahoo Finance, and this week's batch of economic data, GDP, JOLTS, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, and a jobs report, is expected to provide evidence that the soft landing is here. But it hardly feels like a landing. There's too much going on, from big tech earnings and crazy weather effects on data to an impending election. But that's not just it. Schwab's senior investment strategist Kevin Gordon, who recently appeared on Yahoo Finance's Stocks in Translation, described a certain cognitive dissonance investors face. "We're living through the soft landing now," he said, adding, "It's not a destination in my mind, it's a process." In that regard, Gordon agrees with San Francisco Federal Reserve President Mary Daly. She recently penned an article, "Landing Softly is Just the Beginning," in which she liberally used the preferred term, sustained expansion. Well, you know, I've been talking about not a recession, I've been talking about another Great Depression. But if we do get fair and honest voting next week for the election, I may have to publicly retract my forecast. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm still on the depression side until this election's over, and then I'll let you know where I stand. Okay? Alphabet. You know, the folks that own Google and all the stuff that Google owns, surged 6% this morning after Google's parent reported fiscal third quarter earnings that beat analyst estimates on the top and bottom lines, helped by strong growth in its cloud business. The search giant reported earnings per share of $2.12 on revenue of $88.27 billion for the quarter ended September 30th. That represents a profit and sales increase from the same period last year of 37% and 15%, respectively. Oil, crude, I gave you the crude numbers. Oil rebounded after a two-day decline on tightening U.S. crude stockpiles and the prospect of more attacks in the Middle East. West Texas Intermediate advanced by more than 2% to approach 69 a barrel. After tumbling over the previous two sessions, Brent climbed to top $72. While one Israeli minister suggested that the war with Hezbollah could be over by year-end, the country's military chief vowed to strike Iran very hard should the OPEC producer launch another attack. Pending home sales, we already covered. Biggest gain in more than 4 years in September, as a late summer dip in borrowing costs and more selection on the market lured buyers. And our last piece of news for the day. U.S. Treasury Department said today, it does not anticipate increasing auction sizes for U.S. notes and bonds for at least the next several quarters, in line with expectations as it announced quarterly refunding of $125 billion from November 2024 to January 2025. The refunding is intended to raise new cash of $8.6 billion from private investors and will refund about $116.4 billion of privately held Treasury notes and bonds maturing on November 15th. Brrr, that's the money printing machine doing its thing. Okay, let's bring it home. Logic 247. It's our 24/7 around the clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, also crude, gold, silver, bonds. Over the last 326 weeks, we've issued over 18,200 individual handcrafted alerts. And we've averaged on a weekly basis 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on market structure and a very simple process we teach all of our passport holders in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Now, Valerie did this recap at 6:30 a.m. Eastern this morning. She'll update it this afternoon. And I messed this thing up again. So let's just fix it live in real time. There you go. So, at 6:30 a.m. Now, I put a bunch of alerts out this morning. Well, not a bunch. 5 or 6, I think. But at the time Valerie did the recap this morning, we had issued 41 alerts since the markets opened this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. 2 never triggered. At the time of the recap, we were still waiting on the outcome of 11. So now it's 11 plus what I issued this morning. So we had 28 actionable alerts, of which 6 or 21% would have been stopped out based on market structure and that very simple process that we teach all of our passport holders in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Yesterday, well, we started out the week dead on at 20%. Yesterday, rough day, we were at 31%. Now today, we're back down to 21%. And we still have, of course, the rest of today and Thursday and Friday. So 18,200 individual handcrafted alerts. Now, the purpose of the logic alerts is not so you can just trade them, so you don't have to learn how to trade. I know people do it, but it's a mistake. The purpose of the alerts is to help you to learn how to read the chart. It teaches you where to expect potential resistance, potential support, and it highlights the windows of opportunity that exist in the market. All logic alerts and concierge alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose to work with many years ago. And it seems like it was a pretty good choice. So by the grace of God, it's not broke, so we're going to leave it alone. Okay. The logic alerts can come out at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. because futures trade around the clock and we have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. Now, our original alert service is a bit different. The concierge trade alerts, that was our original alert service. Much older than Logic 247. They don't come out around the clock. They're published shortly after the Globex open each evening. Last night I was running way behind. I had to go to a meeting. Long story. You don't want to be bored by it. I usually get them out by 6:30. The market opens at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I was an hour and 7 minutes after the open. If you're a member or trial member, make sure you read this information. Make sure you understand it. If you don't, ask questions. So last night, an hour and 7 minutes after the markets open, all of our members and trial members had all of these targets: ES, YM, Russell, crude, NQ, gold, silver, and bonds. Okay. Now when we go to the charts, you'll see the importance of those numbers. But first we go to the daily chart for the big picture look. Now, let me explain something. Institutional traders have massive account size, so they trade in massive size. They're the ones who literally move price. Okay. You and I serve as liquidity, but that's okay because we can still do our thing. Institutional traders, because they're trading in such huge size, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. It has everything to do with account size. Now, whether you trade futures or stocks or crypto or Forex, it doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. So, I encourage you, spend 2 minutes with the daily chart of whatever you're getting ready to trade. You're getting a free look over the shoulder of the deep pockets. Now, last night, I put in the discussion group, I was surprised to see the market open above red and falling. It's bearish. And we see what happened. Price got back below red and falling, came just shy of hitting the daily VBC, and it's now bounced back up to red and falling. Okay, so we got above it, and then we fell, and then we recovered off some of the news, and we're just above the 38% fib extension. Now the green line is called the BBC. It stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. Higher prices, lower prices, higher prices. You can also see that price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. It's called the BBC, bull bear cross. So when price pulls up to the BBC, we expect resistance. When price pulls down to the BBC, we expect support. But we know eventually it'll trade through. And when it does, and it retraces, the pullback holds more often than not, whether you're pulling from below or pulling down from above. And that brings us to where we are now. Here on September 11th, we got above the BBC, got a leg and a retracement. The pullback held, okay? And then we got another leg and put in a new all-time historic high on October 17th. And then we had, remember, price always reverts to the mean. So back we come to the BBC. We spiked it to touch the 24% fib extension. But look where we closed, above the BBC. In other words, the pullback held, the pullback held, the pullback held, and the pullback held. Now, again, whether you trade futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs, if you'll learn to spend 2 minutes with the daily chart before you start trading, it will reveal key information that you can't see on your smaller time frames. Sometimes if you're just looking at a range chart, you've got an absolutely perfect setup. You trigger in, and then it's like you hit a brick wall. And you're like, man, what happened? I bet you if you go look at your 30-minute chart, you'll see exactly what happened. You ran into a previous swing high, or if you were shorting, a previous swing low, or maybe you hit the daily BBC, which you can't see on a range chart. Okay, you should have 3 time frames: daily, 30-minute, and then the range chart you execute on. Okay, here's the ES. The vertical line separates today, Wednesday. Here's Tuesday. Here's Monday. When price rallies up to a weekly trading zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. These zones are published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published the zones for our members every week since December 14th of 2009. This December will make 15 years. Yesterday, to illustrate windows of opportunity, during the live broadcast, I drew in this window and I drew in this window. Because price is going to do one of two things. It's going to go up or it's going to go down, right? Now, when it hits a weekly zone, 70% of the time it will consolidate. 20% of the time it'll get rejected. 10% of the time, the slice. So, yesterday, we did it. And then we did it again. And then we did it again. And I mentioned yesterday that when a window of opportunity fills, there's an extremely high probability that it's going to happen again. Once, twice, 3 times. Okay? And that was enough to get your goal for the day. What about this one? Price came right down to the top of the window and ground to a halt. Now, I find that fascinating. You may not. That's okay. So this window just never triggered. This was the open last night. We're in earnings season. With futures, you rarely see gaps except on Sunday night or in earnings season. So we had a gap higher open last night, and price, we had blue and climbing. We're above the BBC. We expect higher prices. And there we go. And then we ran out of steam. Just shy of the target. But that's okay, because you could have got in here on the way up. This candle opened at, we'll call it 58.85. And from 85, it ran up to 93. It's 8 points. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Market found resistance here. When it finds resistance, it will go look for support, which it found at the zone. And it consolidated, as it does 70% of the time. And then it attempted to run higher. Where's the London open? Right here. Okay? It just couldn't get anything going. And 6:30 this morning, the old bottom, she kind of fell out. Okay? Now, notice this candle and this candle closed above the weekly zone. So even though we spiked it, the zone still held as support. Support sends the market looking for resistance. What are we doing? We're consolidating at the zone again. Okay? Now, we've got blue and climbing, but we're below the BBC. If price can get here to 58.82-ish, we'll call it 58.81 to 58.83. That's a 2/3 point window of opportunity, because you're going to expect resistance here and here and again here. Now, if price breaks down, this is a real nice window of opportunity. You only need 5 points on the, around 2 points on the ES to get your goal for the day. So this would be 66 down to 63. That's a 3-point window of opportunity. Okay. All right. On to the Dow. Here's where we opened last night. Pulled up to the BBC. Then dropped to the target. Now, that target was based off yesterday's closing candle, yesterday afternoon. Futures trade until 5 p.m. So this is the 4:30 Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Eastern candle. See that low right there? Boom. You're done for the day. Then we bounce up to the BBC, consolidate. Blue and climbing turns to red and falling, and we drop to here. Why did price stop there? Look left. We're still trying to close that gap from Sunday night. And it failed to do it by that much. Not much. Okay, so support now is going to send us looking for resistance. We hit the long target on the way, got to the zone, resistance. Now remember, today's Wednesday. These zones were published to Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. The market found resistance, so now it's pulling back to the BBC. Remember, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. So If the pullback holds, we should expect another bounce back up to the target and the zone. If price fails to hold, then we could come down here and we could carve out a nice little window of opportunity. Right there. That's plenty to get your goal for the day. 380 down to 345. It's almost 2 days. That's if it hold. That's if it doesn't hold. If it holds, then I would suggest, if you get a bounce, right there, go for the day. Either way. By the time we have the same conversation tomorrow on tomorrow's broadcast, one of these will have most likely filled. The Russell. We also drew 2 windows yesterday live on the show. Okay. This one, no denying that baby filled. Okay. We never got down here, and that's okay. See, we planned our work ahead of time and then just waited for price to do what it had to do. We opened here last night. Now, why did price stop right there? I mean, price was climbing, but it just ground to a halt. Bearish cross. When the red line gets below the green line, that's a bearish cross. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, and look where the market found support yesterday, right at the zone. Okay. So when a bearish cross leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area, okay, and it is an area, you should expect resistance. And that's what we got. Then price got below the BBC until it ran into the previous bullish cross. When the blue line gets above the green line, that's a bullish cross. Okay. Extended move. Price returns to the area of the bullish cross and finds support for hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 30-minute candles. Support sends us looking for resistance. Now, this high right here lines right up with, right, see where blue turned to red? That's an area where you should expect resistance, and we got it. Resistance will send the market looking for support, which it found at the zone, and as it does 70% of the time, consolidated. And then this was the 9:30 open this morning. Remember, 70% of the time consolidation, 20% of the time rejection, 10% of the time the slice. So we slice through the zone on a 30-minute chart like it wasn't even there. When that happens, price will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through and then continue in the direction of the slice. So we'll see how that works out. Michael's here, so we're going to pause this recap. He's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning.
I will do that. Bring it over here.
And then do some live trading on TradingView.
All that.
And then I'll be back.
Excellent. Here we go. We'll go here. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 30th day. The 30th day of October. It's almost Halloween. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com, sign up for your free training right here. Click on that. There is no credit card required for the trial. Just click on that and you'll be brought to this registration page. Now, on this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. There's the 5 multiple choice questions right here, and at the bottom of that, if you have NinjaTrader, it gives you a machine ID. If you have Trading, you just give us your login name. All right, click join webinar. Well, click whatever it says. When you do that, we'll know that you did it, and we'll be able to set up your indicators. Your indicators indicating at the beginning of your trial, and that's really where you want to be. All right, so we had a pretty good day today. We did have some stop outs on the YM, but we had a pretty good day today. Now, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, as I said, is the 30th day of October 2024. We're 192 ticks on the NQ. We lost 15 on the Russell, and we lost 75 on the YM, and we made 4 on the ES. That put us at plus 560 per contract this morning. And today it took 10 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,650. So starting at 9:27 again. Hang on, D. Let me just have a mic on muted for you.
Muted. Oh, here. Okay.
Starting at 9:27 once again.
Unmuted. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I just didn't want you to. I wanted to just so nothing happened that you didn't expect. So we're up to 1650 after 10 minutes and 3 trades this morning, and we took a total of 12 trades. So on the month now we're up $12,505 with 1 contract. So over 21 business days, averaging $595 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year now, we are at, well, we've gotten our goal for the day at 204 out of 204 possible days this year. So every day this year. Right now, we're starting this number over. We're at day 1. I think we got up to 94, but we're now at day 1 on this because we had a blue day yesterday. We've gone now 365 business days. That's a whole year's worth of business days. That's like a year and a half in regular days. In calendar days, 365 business days since our last red day, our last day we didn't get the goal for the day, and we ended negative. On the year now, we're at $98,642. That's with 1 contract. Over 204 business days, averaging $483 per contract per 2-hour business day. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was saying, why is this number so far off of that number? Because we got up to 20 contracts in here. We started with 13 contracts in there, and we got up to 20, and then we went back down to 9, 10, and now we'll be going to 11 on Friday. So if you follow the 24/20 blueprint, this number went up a little bit more today. It's $2,864 an hour. So far this year, you would have had to work 58.58 hours, so 58 and a half hours, and you would have averaged $2,864.79 per hour. If you follow the 24/20 blueprint, did everything just like I did so far this year. Now, that's all good. Let's get into the actual trades. I'm going to shut this off for a second. Let me just hit leave on that. Here we go. All right. Close that and that too. Now the actual trades, the YM pretty much had my number today. I messed up on the very first trade on the YM, this one right here. I took that and I stopped out. That was the very first trade. I would have had the goal in less than 10 minutes, but I stopped out minus 25 ticks on that. I had to come back from that. And I still came back from that and got more than the goal, almost twice the goal, 1.5 times the goal in 10 minutes. The next trade that we took on the YM was right here. I stopped out on that. This is what we're expecting it to do, and it did eventually do that. It just pulled back here and did it. This one here also, I stopped out on this one. This one here also pulled back deeper than we wanted it to. It did move up, but it didn't get up above the prior swing high, not for a while. And that was all that we had on the YM this morning. You see right here between 10:30, since we had that one, that higher swing there. It didn't have another higher swing until all the way over here at 11:40 during the break. That would have given you a trade here. If you didn't have the zone there, you would have had a trade right there. That would have been a break even. And then since then, it's went around and didn't give a single trade. All right, so the YM was not easy to trade today. Now, I'm curious. I'm going to go back to that in a few minutes and see what crude oil and gold looked like. All right, so we had leg length phase lesson plan. You can see the remnants of my lesson plan in here. We used the Russell for our example chart today, as you can see. And on the Russell this morning, our very first trade was right here on the Russell. We picked up 10 ticks on that one, and then we stopped out on that one. That puts it minus 25 overall on the Russell. We didn't have another trade until here. There was one there that you could have taken a break even on, or maybe a little better. After that, I don't think you could see all 4 lines in the ribbon on this right in here. It's a stretch. There was that one. this one, and this one right here. All of those would have been okay trades to take. A little bit of profit. There was just one that triggered right here a minute ago. Went right down into the zone and needs to put in a lower swing. And that was it. So the Russell wasn't bad today. It was pretty good to trade today. I did get a stop out, but there weren't that many stop outs. I got one of the few. The ES now, times at 102. Okay. On the ES, there was something I wanted to go look at, keep track of. Here it is. Here it is. All right. On the ES today, we had, deep thought. On the ES today, we had a break-in. We didn't end up taking any profit on that. There was nothing before that we could have taken, I don't think. No, not the time frame that we were working. There was a trade in here. We did take just 4 ticks on that. We took 4 ticks profit on that one. And there was another one right here that went up into the zone. You could have taken that because it did end up getting up into okay, it did end up getting up into the above the weekly trading zone is what I was trying to say. There were no more trades in here as we finished out the morning session. Okay, actually there were no, still not in there. None. As we finished up the morning session, there were no more trades. During the break, there was this, which if we didn't have the zone right there, you could have taken, but then nothing else. And just recently, we had a trade right here that would have given me a break even had I taken it. It's got another one triggered right here right now, though. The ES does. Okay. The ES actually looks like it wants to pull back up to 58.76, but it also looks like it wants to push down to 72 and 71, 71.75. This is what it looks like on the DOM. Okay. This is the entry point, the down close of this bar right here, which was at 74. And so I'm in 1 tick below that. It needs to get down to 72 to 75 for me to bump that stop to break even, and it hasn't gotten there yet. So my stop should be 10 ticks away, and it is. And this should make it right down into this area right here. Prior swing low is right there at 71.50. So right there is the minimum that it should do. The minimum. All right, I'm going to slide that back off to the side, and we'll see how that works out. We are in that trade right now, though. Okay. Now the NQ. The NQ is where we got the majority of our trades today, and where we got pretty much all of our winnings today. Let's go back to the beginning. Wow. That is a big giant drawing that I have there on the NQ. I'm pretty sure I did that on 100 range. I'm pretty sure that I did that on 100 range, and that's why it looks so big here. Yeah, that's what it was. I did on 100 range. And so we'll have to see what it does right through here. You see how the ribbon got all junked up right there? We were able to use the larger time frame to get an idea of what to expect out of the smaller time frame today when we had trade setups on the smaller time frame. And if that happens again in here, I will point it out, right, while we're doing trading in here in the next half hour. But our first trade here on the NQ, and this is where we got our goal for the day, was this one right here. We picked up 48 on that one. We got a break even on the follow-up, break even on that one. Then here, another 48, then another 48. Yeah, so we got 48, then 48, then 48, then 48. Yeah, so we got 4 of them. So every one of those hit our 12-point profit target. This one over here, I ended up with a break even on. And I think we had one more over here that I got even on. I was going to say, I think that's where I stopped trading the NQ this morning. But it looks like there was one more thing. I want to throw one thing on here. I'm curious if I put that on there. Okay, something else that I'm working on. I just wanted to see what it did on the NQ today. And I'm curious what it did on the NQ 100 range. This is supposed to search out the tops and bottoms. Okay. All right, I was just curious. Let's go back here. So after we finished the morning session right through here, was there another trade set up in here? Let's do a quick over here. We came out of the oversold here. This was a valid trade right here that went 30 or 40 ticks into profit. We didn't have anything through here. After this, we would have to get a higher swing to trade in that direction again, and we never did. We never did get that. The next trade was right here, and it would have been entry right below the zone, so that was good for 48 ticks right there. The next one was right here. That would have been a stop out. Right, then you wouldn't have traded again until you got a lower swing, so you still wouldn't be trading on that. Right, and that was it. That was it for all that. The ES trade is still alive. Right now, I gotta go and check if I should have done this BART with one contract to date this year. That's what the 98, no, with one contract to date. Hang on, I have that in the spreadsheet, I think, over here. With one contract, 98,600, no, this is with multiple contracts, right? No, this is one contract, this is what we're at right now, BART. $98,642, that's one contract to date. Okay. And with 10 contracts, this is just this month with 10 contracts. That was last month with 9, the month before that with 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, all the way back up there. But remember, we started out with 13 contracts in January. It's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, then 9, 10. Remember, that's how we did it this year, because I wanted to finish out the 24-20 blueprint. We finished that out right here, I think, or August. We finished that out right here. So we had a great month in August. I mean, August was, at that point, August was our best month of the year, right? Then September topped that. And now this month, we had some pretty slow days this month. That's why it's not the best month. It really, with 23 business days or 22 business days this month, it should be our best month of the year. But we had a blue day for one, and a lot of days in here that were under 500. You know, we started out with our very best day of the whole year. We started this month with the best day of the whole year. And then we only had one more day that was over 1,000 all the way through the month. We had a few more of those, like last month. Yeah, we had consistent number of those in here. Like, I don't know, probably a third of the days last year were over 1,000 with one contract. And this month, a tenth. The ES trade is finally starting to work right now, guys. Let's move this down here so we can take a look at that. Here it is right here. And I'm throwing my stop at break even. I'll bring it over and put my stop break even in front of you here. Break even right now. Bang. Okay, you did have more profit in it a second ago. It should get down here to the prior swing low to 71.50. At least that's what I was showing you a minute ago. But I think right down there it's 70.25. You see the number right here? That's in tomorrow's lesson plan, by the way. Number right down here is 70.25 is what that should get down to. Now let me see who is in here today. If there's any of the newer people in here today. Wally, you did get that activated, right? I see you're in here right now. And so this is this trade right here. Over here on the NQ, we still have not put in a lower swing, I don't think. This little mouse thing is not rolling the way it should. I guess we did put in a lower swing. One tick lower now. I want to see it go down lower though. This is a trade over here on the YM. Now the YM's been kicking my butt all day. So if you don't want to take this one with me, you don't have to, but it is a valid trade here. I'm trying to fill on it, and I didn't get filled yet. And I still didn't get filled yet. And yeah. All right. So on the ES, we're making a port here on the ES right now. Okay, I'm still not filled on that YM. And we're at +2 now on the ES. Right, oh, I filled on the YM finally. Here it is. I filled on the YM. Okay, we need +10 on the YM to get that stop to break even. It's got to get down here, right there, to get that stop to break even. Now this should go all the way down here. I know our swing low is right here. It just took me out with a couple of ticks. I know our swing low is right there. That's ultimately what you want to get in the beginning. Over here on the YM, our low is at 42,488. So it should get all the way down to here is where this should go down to. Okay, see this right here on 100 range NQ -85. Now, what that means is that price on the 100 range just crossed into the oversold. That means it's going to have a move up. All right. So right here, what that's saying is look for a move up to get an opportunity to short. See, and that's what that's saying right here. NQ 100 range test long. That means it crossed down below the same thing. It was the same message. If we bump this to 100 range, you'll see it. Okay. This was it right here, where it crossed down below right here. Now, if the ribbon were bearish on this, that would be a great indication that price is going to go down, or it's going to pull back and then go down a lot more. All right. That would be a great indication of that if this were bearish. But because right here, the way things are looking here on the 100 range, it's really choppy. And if we look at this, you see right here, we have lower highs and higher lows. Oops, and higher lows. So it's really choppy in here. On a smaller time frame, what it's suggesting is we're going to get a pullback right here, some kind of a pullback. And looking at this, the pullback will probably get up to about here to the weekly trading zone, pretty close to the weekly trading zone. Okay, so if you go back here to a smaller time frame, that would put the weekly trading zone right there. It's in the same spot. So ideally, you just have to trade what's in front of you. This YM is not working out at all. I'm going to slide it over to the side. The stop is up at 540, which is just a little above the ribbon. So it's a little into the ribbon. So there's a chance. It's actually not. I thought it was. It's below the ribbon. So if it hits the ribbon and pushes down from there, it's going to stop me out again. The NQ's just, the YM's just had my number today. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've said thus far? I'm happy to answer and respond to any questions that you may have about anything at this juncture. I am looking over here to see if anything triggered over there yet. Nothing did. Okay. It looks like I'm going to stop out on this YM. Here it is right here. Okay, my stop is 25 ticks away. This could be another stop out to the tick on the YM. There it is, just stop me out. Probably be another stop out to the tick on the YM, and then it's going to push down. So far I've had a mistake, one stop out to the tick, and this is probably going to be another stop out to the tick, and then one that was really a valid stop out. Okay, over here on the NQ, we really needed an up close on this bar to get this into the overbought. If we had that and that got into the overbought, then we'd have a trade right here. But sadly, that did not come around. The Russell did not put in a lower swing after this last bounce right here. Neither did the ES. So right now we just have to wait a few minutes. Okay, just have to wait a few minutes.
Michael, did we lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here.
I'm sorry. I stepped away for a minute.
Wait. I'm just waiting to see if we got anything. Over here, we want this bar to close up on the NQ. It hasn't done that yet. We don't have a lower swing here. We don't have a lower swing here. We just stopped out on the YM. So we don't have anything going on right now. What I am curious about, though, if we go out here and look at Bitcoin, what happened to that today? Look, we did it. 74. Let's go out here again, and we'll hit the weekly. You probably already talked about this.
I did talk about this. Donald Trump's media, DJT, now has a larger market cap than Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter.
See that? It's going to come around. It's going to come around, though. I'll be making money on that someday.
It's got a larger market cap than what Elon just paid $40 billion for.
Well, that's good, because Trump needed that market cap. He said he wasn't going to sell it, but I don't know about that. Oops, I'm looking at something else on the slide, but we're at all-time highs right here. We hit all-time highs on this, right? If we go here and we look at the data window, the high on this bar here was 74,415, and the high today was 74,485. So we made a new all-time high in Bitcoin. Right here was the all-time high, 415, and today new all-time high, 485. And we haven't even gotten to the election yet. So all those companies that are hoarding the Bitcoin right now, they should be tearing it up. Now, sadly, one of those is BlackRock, but if everything goes the way we want it to go, we ended up with a break even on this last trade over here. So this isn't actually coming out of the overbought, so it's not a trade there. This didn't put in a lower swing. This didn't put in a lower swing. This didn't put in a lower swing. And so we're waiting right now on the NQ. Bitcoin's all-time highs, though. Let's go look at what's next on here. Gold. This is a spot gold. Now, let's look at that on a weekly. These are all-time highs here on the spot gold, I think, too, right? 27.87. I believe those are all-time highs on the gold, too. If we look at that on 12 months, yes, those are all-time highs on the spot gold. Chris, the up close bar has to be coming out of the oversold to be valid. The BBC doesn't really come into play as long as you can see all 4 lines in the ribbon. Okay, as long as you can see all 4 lines in the ribbon, then the BBC doesn't come into play. But it does have to come out of the oversold. Okay. It does have to come out of the oversold. Are you going to the meeting that I'm having at 3 o'clock today? You might want to go to that. Here. Yeah, you. Chris. He was asking me a question about something in here. Okay, well then, yeah, then probably not. Okay. Well, the first 10 or 15 minutes, actually the first half an hour of my meetings are usually answering questions and going over stuff. I don't usually get into the meat of it until the last half an hour. So, if you from 2:30 to 3:30, there should be plenty for you guys probably. All right. So we're at all-time highs on the spot gold, all-time highs on Bitcoin. And what is this one? Just plain YM with the TV trades on it. It's pretty good trades today. Win, win, not a win. A little bit of a win. That would have been a stop out. So 1 stop out and 3 positive trades. On the YM, just straight YM TV trades. And what is on this one? Tesla. Okay, now I'm curious about the Tesla on a smaller time frame, not 100 range, but let's look at it on a 25 or a 50 range. Okay, it's pretty good, and I'll put this guy on there and see how it is at picking the tops and bottoms. A couple here that didn't work out, 1 here that didn't work out. The rest of them did pretty well. Interesting. There's a special time frame. Remember before when we looked at soybeans doing a long, long time ago? I don't know if you're watching right now. Might not be watching. But soybeans had a rhythm. Remember the rhythm?
Yep.
And got to capture the rhythm. And we didn't use range bars back then. So we could set a range bar that is what we thought the rhythm was back then. I think I can just about do that with one of these preset ones that I have here. And Now, we don't typically trade soybeans because they don't typically move all that much. You can see these are like one move a day in here. But that move each day is usually a pretty good one. Like right now, it's setting up for a move down. All right. So, and this is on a 25 range, which is a big move for soybeans. You know, that's a 4-point equivalent on the ES. I'm sorry. 6-point equivalent on the ES. So it's a $300 bar. You can break that down to a smaller one. Go to like, you know, something that's multiple, go like a 15 range on the soybeans. You probably get a little more opportunity with a 15 range. We didn't get any today, but when you get the pulls out of the overbought or oversold with the trend, with the ribbon, that's usually going to be a pretty good indication with the soybeans. It's just I hadn't thought of the soybeans in a long time, and putting it together with the range bars, just a completely different concept. It is 1:23. 1:23. And all right. So here we go. We are looking for this goes the lower swing, so we have another opportunity, but it needs to pull back it into the overbought, which it didn't do. This needs a lower swing. This needs a lower swing. This now needs a lower swing too. So we're not getting any trades right here. Other than using ranges, is there a reason why I don't use time for stocks? Because it's the same reason I don't use time for anything else, Chris. The range bars are better. You know, you can use the time stuff, but then your risk is based upon some value you don't know until the bar is closed. Okay, when like if I go back out here to the Tesla, I think that was all the way out here at the 8, right? I changed that to soybeans, but let's just go back and change it to Tesla. Okay, Tesla. All right, so let's change this to a 5-minute. Okay, we'll change it to a 2-minute. Some guys like 2-minute bars. Okay, we'll change it to a 2-minute. Now, you're looking for the same kind of stuff, right? Looking for this commodity oversold, to this commodity oversold, to this commodity oversold when your ribbon is spread and it's going up. That's all good. But by the time it comes out of the oversold, you know, this is a pretty good one right here where it just barely, and actually commodity oversold on that one, it came out of the oversold on this one. Then your stop is going to be all the way down here, right? And when this one came out of the oversold, this one's not bad because your stop's only this big. You see how the stop varies in size from bar to bar because you don't know how big any bar is going to be. You know, it all depends on the bar size when it comes out of the oversold. Like this one right here, bar is not very big, so this isn't too bad of a stop. But you don't know until it actually happens. Like this one right here, you know, you stop on this one, looking at 258.83 down to 258. So you get about, you know, a 75-cent stop on this, which isn't too bad. But if you got it on the 50 range, then you have a 50-cent stop, or you have a 60-cent stop, and you know it all the time, all the time. Okay, that's why I always use range bars, because you know ahead of time what your risk is going to be on every trade. You don't know that with any other time frame. You don't know that. And Michael R, November soybeans are the best. I think we're in those right now, aren't we? In November soybeans right now? I don't know, but November beans are the best to trade. And there's, you know, for the different crops, there's different ones that are better. Like corn, you're saying is the last 2 weeks of July. I don't know what month of beans that is you'd be trading in the last 2 weeks of July. It's probably September beans or something like
November
that.
is
beans,
the kindest beans of all.
It is. November's always been the best. It's just the timing of the crops. I suppose as we go further into time and the winters are more mild and they they go a little further in the year. They start a little later and they last a little longer. Of course, that's like a lifetime of time. 30 years. So. Do I ever trade orange juice? No, I don't. But it's not to say that you can't. I just don't know that it's got any liquidity in it. Okay. But I mean, if we did, let me just look at orange juice. I've never looked at orange juice on this. Orange juice. OJ. We'll look at this one. We'll just look at the leading contract is what it's going to bring up. So on a 2-minute, look at what it looks like on a 2-minute. It's complete garbage on the 2-minute. But if you break that down to like now this is going to be in dollars and cents. So we'll break it down to like a 50-cent bar, all right? A 50 range. It'll be a 50-cent bar. Here it is, a 50-cent bar. Now you can make something out of this, right? You don't get a lot of trades in it, but we can do something with it. Let's break it down to a 25-cent bar and see what that looks. 25-cent bar, you might get more opportunity. Here it is. So today, the ribbon was crunched up all day, so you wouldn't have anything today. But yesterday, where the ribbon was spread out a little bit, you had one trade right here on orange juice, and if your stop was, say, 30 cents, it dropped from here, 48, 840, 84.45, all the way down here. That's probably a really big move. I don't know what it is, the dollar value, if it is straight dollar value, that move. But you'll be doing all the same things. You got to find a time frame that suits the market that you're in, that suits the volatility of the market that you're in. But what we're using is, it works on everything. And if you use range bars, I mean, again, this is why, if we went back to that 2-minute bar or 1-minute bar, you saw what garbage it looked like, right? You couldn't trade that. But this, because it's range bars, it is structured. And you don't get any trade setups if you don't get any market movement. If you go back here to like a 1-minute, every minute you're going to get a bar. It's going to force a bar out every minute. And a lot of times those bars don't move at all. They don't move at all. And then the next one is like 3 cents away or 4 cents away. Now, you can't trade this kind of stuff, but you can trade the range bars. Okay. So let's go back to Tesla on this. And I did run out of time, and I got other meetings coming up, and Dwayne's got meetings coming up too. So I'm going to bump this Tesla back to a 50 range, I think. And put it on a 50 range. And come over here and see if anything has mattered yet. Nothing yet. Okay. And that's going to be it, guys. With that, I am going to wrap this up. We didn't get any more trades in here on these other contracts in here. We didn't end up with anything. It's just about at the point where it would. We've gotten lower swings everywhere now. It's just about at the point where we would have trades. But we're running out of time. So I will say this. If you have not taken a free trial, let's go to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button, and you'll be sent to this registration page. Now, on this registration page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number, 5 multiple choice questions. If you have Ninja, give us your machine ID. We can set the charts, some charts up for you on Ninja. If you have TradingView, give us your login ID, right? If you have TradingView, you can have this. Right? If you have Ninja, you can have this stuff up here on the top, but you can't have this. All right, that is that. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, and Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yep. Recap of the morning session.
Today, it took 10 minutes and 3 trades to get to, I think it was $1,650, right? Yeah, $1,650 this morning.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, guys, let's pick up where we left off. We're on the Russell, and I've already covered all the other markets, so if you missed it, you can always go to YouTube and watch the video. Okay, we talked about how we drew in these windows yesterday and how that one filled, and now we've sliced through the weekly zone like it wasn't even there on the 30-minute chart. Price has now retraced back to the zone it sliced through, where it's consolidating. I suspect it will consolidate there until the BBC rises to meet it, and then we'll get another leg in the direction of the slice. Okay. NQ. All right. Now we drew in these two windows yesterday on the NQ. Now I explained yesterday, if you go back, if you missed it, I said because it's such a big window of opportunity that the first time you enter the window, you probably go about a third of the way, then pull back and go about a third of the way, and then pull back and go the remainder of the way. Just didn't happen this time. Blue and climbing got above price, which became resistance because it was on its way to turning into red and falling. But you still had oodles of time to get your goal for the day. Every member, every trial member had these targets. Okay. 1 hour and 7 minutes after the market opened last night. I already covered that in the beginning of the video. This low right here is this low right here. So now, if you short 26.97 down to the target, that'll give you $200 per contract traded. 205.97 down to 205.87. 10 points, $20 a point, $200 per contract trade. So we're down to 206.01. So we want to see it at 97, and then see if it can continue all the way to the target. Struggling a little bit. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Looks like we are. Did we already hit it? No. Oh, but what's the low of this candle? 205.90. So we've missed it by 3 ticks. Now remember that move I just gave you, that's a $200 per contract trade. Bang. And we just, did we do it? 205.88. Oh, we're still missing it by 1 tick. Yep, there we go. You saw it right before your eyes. Okay? Now, what magic does this man have? None. I just knew we needed to get below this low, and if we took out that low, chances are we would make it to the target. Because that target is based off that low. Now it may keep going, and if you're in the trade and want to stay with it, then your next area you should expect support is right here at 205.45 to be conservative. So what a beautiful example. That worked out well. It's nice when things work out the way you hope they will. Okay, crude oil. Crude finally coming out of the doldrums here. This is where we opened last night, got above the BBC, got a leg, got a retracement. They got a leg that almost took us to the target. Ran into this little area. Well, that little area right there, that little area where blue curls over, that's where my target was set. So, I mean, this candle opened at 67.81. It ran up to 68.20. So that's $390 per contract traded in that 130-minute candle. And we pull back to the BBC, and the pullback holds more often than not. And there we go through the target. And let's see what stopped us in our tracks. Well, there it is, right there. And then the high, see, this is that gap lower open Sunday night, and price, buyers just weren't convinced enough to push it any higher. So now we pull back to the BBC. One of two things will happen. The pullback will hold. It held, and it held, and it held. If it holds, then we get another opportunity on the upside, like 68.90 to $69. And if it doesn't hold, you got potential support here, here, here. So why not just drop down to here, 67.05 to 66.95. Either one will give you your goal for the day. And by the time we have this conversation tomorrow, one of them will probably have filled. So there was never any real reason to think about the short target, because we got above the BBC early in the session and we've stayed above it so far. But now, even though the pullback holds more often than not, we know eventually it'll trade through. Okay, this could be it. We don't know until it happens. Goal. Here's the open. We're way above the BBC. We got blue and climbing. This one candle here from 27, call it 27.90 to 94. That's $440 per contract traded in that candle. Then a little pullback, and then we go through the target. Pull back to the BBC. The pullback holds, but it bounces us into red and falling. Weakness. So then we take a dip below. And if you look left, see that low right there? That green candle, that was the closing candle yesterday. Low of that candle here. And down here. Was the low of that body. Anyway, support sends us looking for resistance, and that's where we're in right now. And where's resistance? 2801.7. So anything above that, okay, this is the highest weekly zone. And if things fall apart and price starts to drop, it's a nice fat window of opportunity. 27.85 up to 89. That's $400 per contract traded. Now again, with a window this big, it probably won't make it all the way through the window in one trade. It'll go up, it'll pull back, and go up, pull back, and it may never make it to the top of the window, but it should move far enough. You only need a price to move $1 with goal to get your goal for the day. So if this is 28.05, you only need to go to 28.06, and you got your goal for the day. Silver. Here's where we opened. Okay, we couldn't get above the zone. Remember, when price rises to a zone, we expect resistance to proven otherwise. Yesterday we spiked it a couple times. But look at all these pullbacks that held and held and held and held until it didn't. This low sent us up to resistance. Support always sends us to resistance, which sends us to support. First we hit the target, bounced back to the BBC, the pullback held. Then we dropped again all the way to the zone, consolidated, ran up to the BBC, pullback held. Then once we got through this zone, we came all the way down to the next zone, spiked it, but closed well above the zone. Okay. Now you see red and falling's turning to blue and climbing. So silver may be getting ready to make a run to the upside. You got to be patient. If it does start to make a run to the upside, you only need 2 pennies. So, 34.35 to 34.39, that would be 4 pennies. That would be $200 per contract traded. Also known as a window of opportunity. Got to get above this high to get in, and then get out before you get to that high. Now that's the conservative way. If it's running, you can run with it. You know, keep moving your stop. Trail it. One last look at the daily chart. Now, I made these remarks at the beginning of the broadcast, and I put it in the discussion group last night, that I was surprised to see the market open above red and falling. Well, look where it is now. The low of the session's almost down at the BBC, but we opened last night. This was green. We had a little wee bit of green. And then we got a drop. So now price is trapped between support at the low of the day and the high of the day, of course, but red and falling and the BBC. See how it's pinching up? Eventually price is going to have to make a decision. And the pullback held, and it held, and it held, and it held, and it held. Remember, eventually it won't hold. So if this pullback doesn't hold, where's your support? 24% fib extension, or the low of this candle. Then the 24% fib retracement. That's the shallowest possible fib retracement. And these fibs are based off the low of August 5th and the high of October 17th. Okay? To become a member, send an email to support@cfrn.net. In the subject line, simply say, I would like to become a member. That's all you got to do. Hit send. Valerie will send you some information and a link so that you can become a member. Once you click that link and become a member, she'll then send you several emails, very important information. Put them in a folder because you'll need all that information later on. When you become a member, you're going to get 2 hours of live training every trading day. Live markets, live trades, interactive environment. Okay? That means you're watching, listening, asking questions, and trading along in your demo account so that you can qualify to go live. Along with 2 hours of live training every trading day, you get private one-on-one mentoring. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder, are fluid across all markets, all time frames. Futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETF. Doesn't matter. Price flow is the same across all markets and all time frames. Also, as a passport holder, you're going to get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. You'll get the concierge trade alerts every evening, the minute they're published. Every Monday morning, you'll get the weekly trading zones at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And you'll be able to attend the members only workshop every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's tomorrow night. So if you're on the trial and you've decided to become a member, take care of it today. Make sure you get your invitation to the live training room tomorrow night. Not only will you be able to attend the members only workshop tomorrow night, you'll get the key to the vault that has hundreds of previous workshops. Do you need to watch them all? No. Is there a million teachable moments in there? Yes. So if you find yourself with nothing to do and you want to learn, that's a great place to go. Okay. All right. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. Yesterday, we talked about how love is expressed. Today, the huddle. 1 Corinthians 1:10. I appeal to you, brothers, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree and that there be no divisions among you. To lead your family effectively, you need to learn how to huddle regularly. The huddle is where a team sets its goals, discusses the division of responsibilities, and tackles the issues that determine whether it wins or loses. Parent, even though you call the plays from overhead, your family must be taught how to accomplish them on the field. That means working through things, talking through disagreements, and motivating and appreciating each member. Try to listen with an open heart. Don't just hear what your children say, try to understand how they feel. Yes, you're the boss, and yes, you can try to enforce your will if you want to, but sooner or later you'll have trouble, for resentment grows when people feel left out. Every member of your team has got to be part of the decision. Involve them. Ask God to help you look beyond what you want to what's best for all of you. See, what you want may not be what's best for everyone. That's why you need the huddle. And don't fall under the spell of instant gratification. What looks good to you today could be taking you off the path to a better tomorrow. And don't let outsiders into your huddle. Too often their opinions are based on hearsay, self-interest, or jealousy. Respect the privacy of your team. Build loyalty. Huddle regularly in prayer. When you do that, everybody wins. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial